Before starting this advanced tutorial, make sure you've completed the Getting Started tutorial. If you're ready to explore TipoTapp's more advanced features, let's dig deeper into views, layouts, and styling. Quick filters are used to filter the data displayed in list views. In traditional programming, this is similar to the clause in SQL queries. When used, you will be able to fetch only the relevant records from the server. Syntax for filters in TipoTapp is very similar to how you filter your emails in your Gmail. For example, in your Gmail, you can add a filter like from john@gmail.com to fetch emails from John. To show how it works in TipoTapp, we'll add a new Tipo to the student management system named Application. This Tipo will include the following fields: student of type student, phone of type phone number, application date of type date time, application status of type text with a fixed list of values, new, approved, rejected, and in progress. Save the application Tipo. After saving, expand the application status field to show what's in the system field name. You'll see application status with an underscore in the middle. These system fields are automatically generated for you. You may change them if necessary, but we recommend leaving the system-generated fields as they are. When constructing the filters, you must use the system field name instead of the label. Now, let's see how we can construct a filter that shows all of the approved applications. Go into Application Tipo Edit mode and choose the List tab next to the Field Groups tab. Add a new filter definition by clicking on the plus button. After naming your filter, enter the following value: application_status approved. Note that the field name used is the system field name. Also, do not use quotes in these filters. If you have a need to use quotes, replace them with brackets instead. You can use our code completion functionality to see all the available fields by hitting Ctrl plus spacebar. For example, to create a filter to fetch in-progress applications, you would make a filter as follows: application_status, open brackets, in progress, close brackets. Continue to add more filters as applicable, and don't forget to save. For complete details on syntax, visit support.tipotapp.com and search Query Syntax. You'll find plenty of information to help you understand this. So let's now see how these filters will be rendered in the application list view. TipoTapp assumes a lot of things in order to make the development experience as simple as possible. This is exactly why you'll be able to build applications at speeds you never thought possible. As such, Detail View, Create, and Edit forms are divided into a default maximum of 3 columns on desktop, 2 columns on tablet, and a single column on mobile devices. Every field takes a single column by default. However, that might not be sufficient in all cases. For example, in the application Tipo, if you have to capture a cover letter, you might want the field to cover all 3 columns instead of just 2. You can change the width of a field by setting its form width. Let's add a new field for cover letter in the application Tipo and expand it to access the Position tab and change the field width to 3. Save the application Tipo, and the cover letter field is now rendered with a width of 3 columns. You can improve a form by using field groups to group related items together. To understand how field groups work, let's add qualifications to the staff Tipo. A staff member will have multiple qualifications, so we have to create a group of fields to capture them and make sure the group is an array so that it can capture multiple qualifications. First, edit the staff Tipo and navigate to the Field Group tab. Click on the plus button to add a new group and enter a name. This name for the field group is not the title that the user will see for this group of fields. We'll go to that in a moment. Click Expand to add fields to this group and add 3 fields: qualification title, type, and year awarded. For each of these, make sure Show in Basic View is turned on under the Display tab. You'll understand why shortly. Now navigate to the Basic tab and add a field to use the field group you just created. Add a field with the field name as qualification. When choosing the type, select the group qualification that we just created. When you create a group of fields, you do not specify if the list of fields is used as an array or single. But when you used that group as a field type, you mark the field to be an array. So, expand the qualification field and navigate to the Data tab to turn on Allow Multiple Values. Save the staff Tipo. Navigate to the staff Tipo and create a new staff to see how the newly added field group appears. Now let's explore Basic View and Expanded View for a field group. You can create field groups that show all the fields at once, or field groups that show only some fields at first, then display the complete set of fields when the user chooses to expand the group. This enhances user experience by displaying the most relevant information first and providing the rest on demand. Go back and edit the staff Tipo qualification group to include 2 more fields: year awarded and brief summary. To create fields in the group, access the Field Group tab first, then expand the qualification group and start adding the required fields. Make sure you set Show in Basic View to off for both these new fields we are adding. Save the staff Tipo. Now go back to the home screen and access staff from the menu. Click on the plus button to access Create Form, add a qualification, and you'll notice there are still only 3 fields, with the other 2 that we just added not visible. We refer to this as Basic View. You can click to expand and see all the 5 fields in the Expanded View. You can improve the appearance of a form by separating related fields with dividers. Let's take a look at this feature in action by modifying the student form. We'll place a divider before the student's admission details, isolating them from the other details. Go to Manage Tipos, select the student Tipo, and enter into Edit mode. Add a field named Admission Details of type Divider and set its sequence to a number that is between the sequence number of the email field and the sequence number of the admission date. You can select any number, even a floating point number, to insert between 2 fields. Save the changes and return to the student form. You should see an Admission Details divider separating the admission details from the details that come before. In desktop and mobile applications, it's necessary to use a tab-style menu to use your real estate most effectively. TipoTapp supports multiple ways of showing information in tabs. Sections of a single object can be shown in tabs, or a completely different Tipo dataset can be shown in a tab. Let's check the staff object. You'll see a tabbed interface with Basic and Application tabs. The Basic tab lists the basic information of the staff, and the Application tab lists the applications that are assigned to that particular staff. TipoTapp makes it easy to make one of these yourself. It's similar to how you model a field. Just add a normal field with field type as the desired typo, set the Show in tab under the display section for the field to true, and you're all set. Let's apply this for the staff typo. Edit the staff typo and add a new field in Applications. Choose Application as the type. Expand the field by clicking the far right arrow to access the field properties. Select Display Settings and set Show in tab to Yes. Let's see how the Application tab shows data. Choose a staff member and click on Applications. You'll see Applications. Choose another staff member and click on Applications, and you'll see Applications. The problem here is that applications are not narrowed down to the list for that particular staff member. So how do we do that? This is applied to the staff typo by adding a new field in Applications with type Application and enabling Show in tab in the Display section. Let's go back to the staff typo edit mode and expand the Applications field. Click on Relationship Settings. Here we can set a filter to show applications of the selected staff member on the screen. Enter the filter as managing_staff: $tipo_root.tipo_id. When fetching applications from the server to show in the context of a particular staff member, this filter will be applied. $tipo_root.tipo_id will be replaced by the selected staff ID. For beginners, it can be a little tricky to form this filter. The best way to do it is to hit Ctrl plus space on your keyboard to see all the available fields in the target typo and start with the target typo system field name first, then the values using $tipo or $tipo_root. We'll learn more about these dynamic replacements using $tipo in subsequent tutorials. Now let's save the staff typo and access the Applications tab for a few staff members and see if the applications are narrowed down to the staff member. Looks like we did it. Building complex functionality with TipoTapp is that easy. When you choose a field type of another typo, you can either have a reference to the other typo or completely embed all the fields from the referenced typo. This is explained in more detail in the Relationships Reference and Embed tutorial. Let's edit the staff typo and add two fields: home address of type address and work location of type place. For both fields, make sure to access the Relationship Settings tab and choose Relationship Type as Embed. When nothing is selected, it is assumed that the relationship type is reference. Save the typo and review how the embedded typo appears in staff with all the fields expanded within staff. The student field under Application is of type Student with the relationship type Reference. In that case, the student fields will not be expanded in Application. Let's learn how to show a field group or embedded typo fields in a tab. This is an easy task in TipoTapp. Simply enable Show in tab for the respective field, and the rest of the magic is automatic. Let's do this for both the home address and work location fields in staff, and save. Access staff from Home menu. Now you see home address and work location fields in the tab. It's that simple. In TipoTapp, there are two main layout options: flow layout and grid layout. You'll require both grid and flow layout depending on what type of data you're dealing with. Rows of repeated data will attract more of a table-like grid layout, whereas a group of fields that describe something will attract the more mobile-friendly flow layout. List View, Detail View, Create View and Edit View all accept flow layout. Only List View can also use grid layout. Let's see what layout Staff Tipo has by default. Examine the list view. It looks like a table, so this is a grid layout. Select a staff to view the details in Detail View. Here the data is divided into 3 columns. This is a flow layout. Wondering about Edit View and Create View? They're also flow layouts. As discussed in the field width control tutorial, by default, flow layout has 3 columns on desktop, 2 columns on tablet, and a single column on mobile. If you change the screen size to resemble a tablet, you can see the number of columns. You'll also see the qualification section changing the layout to flow layout on a tablet-sized screen. We will discuss how to control that behaviour later. First, let's see how to change the number of columns in each of these views. To see the effect of changing these settings, let's edit the Staff Tipo. Expand the Basic section and set Desktop Max Columns to 6, Tablet Max Columns to 4, and Mobile Max Columns to 2. These values will only impact the flow layout and not the grid layouts. Let's observe that now. Starting with List View, you'll see no change. However, all of the other views will have more columns as per the changes with 6 columns in Desktop. You'll see some fields taking more than 1 column as their field width is set accordingly. This is how TipoTapp lets you alter layouts with 0 code and minimal configuration. Now let's explore the grid layout in greater detail. As mentioned, only list view and field groups with multiple items in the group, like the qualifications group in Staff, can take grid layout. Also, this can be controlled if the grid layout is needed in all 3 types of screens, or if it's only required for a particular screen type. Let's control the list view first. Edit the Staff Tipo and access the List tab. You'll find Show List View in Grid option for all 3 devices. Set all of those to True. Similarly, to control the grid view settings for the Qualifications field group, access the list of fields under the Basic tab. Look for the field that represents the Qualifications field group. Expand it to access the Group Settings tab, and turn on Desktop Grid, Tablet Grid, and Mobile Grid. Great! We set both the Qualifications field group and the list view to show in grid view on all devices. Now, how do we control how many columns to show in these grids? Currently, TipoTapp supports a single value for all the tables in a given object. So set that to the maximum number of columns required and use the field width to adjust. To do this, expand the Basic tab and set Grid Max Columns to 10. Now save the Staff Tipo and let's start with List View. You'll see some additional columns, but not as many as 10. That's because even though you set that to 10, there aren't that many fields with Show in List View enabled. So you'll see less than 10 fields here in List View. Now change the size of the screen to resemble a tablet or a mobile device. You'll see the table views stay the same without switching to the flow layout, just like we wanted. Go into the detail of a staff member and see what happened to the qualification section. You can view the qualification section in grid view in all screen sizes. Also, you'll notice that the number of columns has stayed the same. To have more columns appear, you'll have to enable Show in Basic View for each of those fields. Remember, this is a different setting than Show in List View. Let's try that now. And now, as expected, you can see more columns in the qualification grid.